Ohio. The Honorable Supreme Court of Ohio is now in open session pursuant to adjournment.
Good morning. I'm Ohio Supreme Court Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor. Welcome to the December 2020 Ohio Bar Admission Ceremony from the courtroom of the Thomas J. Moyer Ohio Judicial Center in Columbus. By necessity, this is now our second virtual bar admission ceremony. As you know, each speaker will appear virtually on your computer or your television screen. Those being admitted today were the first to take the Ohio bar exam remotely. The remote bar exam, again, by necessity, did not happen effortlessly. The Attorney Services Division, led by Gina Palmer, worked tirelessly to coordinate with NCBE and others to provide a quality, secure testing event. I know that each of you are delighted to have that exam over with, and believe it or not, all of my colleagues on the Supreme Court remember the same feeling of relief that you experienced when you saw your name on the list of successful applicants. Speaking of colleagues, please know that Justices Kennedy, French, DeWine, and Fisher are participating virtually as well. Speaking of colleagues, please know, excuse me, I'm happy to introduce several distinguished speakers who will congratulate you and advise you on your future as a member of the bar. My colleague on the Supreme Court bench, Justice Melody Stewart, who was in the courtroom with me today, will be one of our speakers. Dean Andrew Strauss of the University of Dayton School of Law, the president of the Ohio State Bar Association, the Honorable Juvenile Judge Linda Teodosio, and the Honorable Judge Mark Wiest of the Common Pleas Court of Wayne County. Judge Wiest is chair of the Board of Bar Examiners. The names of all of the applicants for admission to the Ohio Bar appeared on your screens before the start of the ceremony. You, as applicants, will be sworn in virtually. I will explain the details when we reach that part of our program. In normal times, we would be together with your friends and your family in a packed house at one of the beautiful theaters here in downtown Columbus. Instead, we are adapting, as we must. When you began practicing, you will find that flexibility and the ability to adapt will be two of the most valuable talents that you possess. Finding solutions to problems, big and small, will be part of your career. That's what lawyers do. Today, we will focus on the many reasons you should be proud of your achievements. First, we look at the numbers. Of the 958 lawyers who sat for the bar exam, 741, or 77.4%, achieved a passing grade. This is the highest passage rate in Ohio since July of 2013. The figures get even better. Among the 810 first-time takers, 85.3% of you received a passing score. Now, if we take a moment to absorb that, you'll understand that during this most trying years of your life, you succeeded. In the most challenging year you'll ever face, you thrived. You won't walk on stage today to be in front of your friends and family, but hopefully they are with you. Instead, your perseverance in the face of this pandemic has formed a special platform. This is your time, and your friends and family will hear us call your names today. Your countless hours of study are about to open a whole new world for you. Your journey as a lawyer begins today. Bar admissions is a graduation of sorts, but you will remain a student of the law. The good news is that 2021 is just around the corner, and with it, the promise of relief from this pandemic. I have great faith in the efficacy of the vaccines coming to our state and the freedom that will mean for all Ohioans. Now it's time to focus. Focus on the type of lawyer you want to be. How will you use your law degree? The benefit of having a certificate of law opens up broad horizons. Allow me a moment to give you a little bit of advice. I know it's difficult to look for that perfect job through remote technology, but don't be discouraged. You have persisted so very well so far. Use this achievement as fuel to keep your momentum going until you get the opportunity that is best suited for you. You may be surprised. You may not get the dream job that you envisioned when you were leaving law school or began studying for the bar, but that's okay. I advise you to take a leap of faith. Lawyers are needed more than ever today to help people who find themselves in need of legal advice caused by society's disruptions. With evictions and foreclosures, those are just two of the problems that present themselves. Those who qualify for pro bono services are the most disadvantaged. Think about how you can use your expertise to help those who are disadvantaged. I am a huge believer in pro bono work. Volunteer your services to the Access to Justice Foundation or the Ohio Legal Help. I can tell you, as a public servant myself, there's no greater reward than the gratitude of an Ohioan who has nowhere else to turn. You can change lives, and I guarantee that. Working for others will build your confidence in applying the law and in advocating for clients. You are the future, and your ability to be resilient during this year is awe-inspiring. To get here, you face challenges. You apply discipline. So celebrate what you have done. Then march forward into a profession that needs you and welcomes you. As we gather today across cyberspace, through Zoom and computer screens, we're proving that we can celebrate a milestone that is very, very special. Today is a special day for those who love and care about you as well. For all the people who have watched and supported you as you worked hard to achieve your law degree and to pass this bar. Your special group includes your parents, grandparents, spouses, partners, significant others, children and friends, law professors, and deans. I applaud your teachers. I'm sure you do too. As you look forward to becoming a lawyer, don't forget to look back on those who helped you arrive at the pinnacle of your accomplishment. Be sure to thank them. Presiding over the bar admission ceremony is one of my favorite roles as Chief Justice. Therefore, on behalf of the entire Supreme Court of Ohio, I say congratulations and well done. During this ceremony, you will become attorneys. We expect you to maintain and even raise the level of respect and courtesy that is the hallmark of our profession. A solid reputation in the legal field is your foundation. Remember to show professional behavior and respect to everyone that you encounter, whether it's opposing counsel, clients, judges, court staff. Show respect to everyone. Be courteous, and you will go far in establishing a good reputation in the legal community. Never lose sight of this responsibility. And remember, you're an advocate for your client. Your advocacy skills often extend to negotiating skills. Remember, a trial is not the solution for every case. There are other options such as ADR, mediation, and it's your responsibility to recognize all options to help the parties reach a solution. So be supportive and patient. In these highly charged political times, it can be easy for people to forget what the rule of law means, but not you. You understand that the law in our legal system is the backbone of a free society. We depend on the rule of law to preserve order and fairness in America. Lawyers protect the rights of the powerful and the powerless. Among all the professions, lawyers are unmatched in the time and the resources they devote to civic and professional activities. And yes, there is no profession that disciplines its members as aggressively as the legal profession, and that's as it should be. Never lose sight of the human element of the law. In your quest to win an argument, remember your actions have a real impact on the people involved. If you remember that and focus on the art of civility, you're sure to succeed in the profession. You'll become part of the greatest legal system in the world. It's not perfect, but it is the best the world has. What's most important about the American legal system is the commitment to equal access to our court system, a system that prides itself in a fair and impartial judiciary. At a time when our legal system and our judiciary has come under attack, it is your duty to stand up for the judiciary and the justice system that you will make your life's work. So I challenge you, endeavor every day to work with dignity and civility. Strive to improve our system of justice. You will find that you don't know everything, and that is to be expected. But the Supreme Court has created some tools that you can use to help you along. And one of those tools is the mentoring program that will assist you as a new attorney. The program pairs you with an experienced attorney mentor, someone you can rely on to help you as you navigate your first year post-law school. There is information in the packet you'll receive from the Supreme Court, so please take a look at it. The Supreme Court of Ohio's mentoring program will help you in ways you can't even imagine. So please, again, sign up and take advantage of this program. Take the time to observe lawyers in action who are civil, who are courteous, and who are prepared. You will soon notice how effective they are for their clients. As for your practice as an attorney, I offer you words of wisdom that I've embraced throughout my career. Be honest and be upfront with your clients. Be efficient, be ethical, and intelligent when working with them. Advise them truthfully. Return their calls and explain your fees and costs up front, and above all, put everything in writing. I have some other important items to caution you about as well. Be familiar with the Code of Professional Conduct and follow it. If you find yourself in a situation where you suspect you're facing an ethical challenge, stop, consult a mentor, get advice from a lawyer who's been in the business much longer than you, and then follow that advice. Do not try to navigate an ethical question by yourself. Know the rules of court for each jurisdiction in which you practice. That's just plain smart, and you can avoid problems by getting online and reading the rules of court. And one thing I always make sure to include, never show up for court on time. Be at least 15 minutes early. Along the way, don't forget to set aside time for yourself, your family, your community, and your spiritual growth. This is true especially now in this isolating time. Reach out to your colleagues, your family, and your friends. You'll be a better lawyer and a better human being for it. As I move forward with the program, it is tradition to have a law school dean speak on behalf of all the deans of the law schools in Ohio. So I would like to introduce our first speaker. It's Dean Andrew Strauss of the University of Dayton School of Law. Dean Strauss.
This past year has been a very difficult one for all of us, and particularly for all of you that endured through the uncertainty and anxiety of graduating and taking the bar in the time of COVID. There is no doubt but that you have had the most difficult experience in the history of bar exam takers. But through your spirit and determination, you have prevailed. A hearty congratulations to all of you and to your families and friends. The difficulty that you have overcome makes today particularly poignant. It marks the beginning of your careers as licensed attorneys at law in the state of Ohio. Please just take a moment to savor that, to take stock, and to appreciate yourselves for all that you have done. Think of all that it took to be here. Because our memories are often fleeting, it is easy to believe that but for passing Ohio's first online bar exam, you wouldn't be here today. Actually, though, but for getting through years of schooling, starting with kindergarten, you wouldn't be here today. Or even further back, all of your cognitive development, including your first sentences and even first words, were step by long step prerequisites leading to today. But even that doesn't begin to capture it. Think of the incomprehensible convergence of natural and human-made factors, known and unknown, that are all necessary preconditions for this day. Among the most salient, the dawn of language some 100,000 years ago, the dawn of agriculture 10,000 years ago, the dawn of civilization 5,000 years ago, and your own birth from all the infinite number of possible births and all the infinite number of possible times and places. Truly, what are the odds? Today, I think it is appropriate to pay heed in particular to one of those myriad of specifically human-made preconditions, an invention that provides the organizational infrastructure for the occurrence of this event, or for that matter, the entire functioning of our complex society. I am referring, of course, to the law. Today, new members of the bar, you are heir to a legal tradition that began most definitively with the Greeks some 2,500 years ago. This tradition could be described in many ways, but at its core, it is about creating an ideals-based society out of social disorder. And this ordering quality of law is particularly important in times of societal tensions, such as we are living through today. People around the world are frustrated with the way things are, and they want change. Many of the frustrations are understandable. The world today is very unequal, and in so many ways it is an unfair place. One manifestation of this frustration, however, takes the form of attacks on the institutions that allow for rule of law. But those institutions of law, even if imperfect, provide for differences to be resolved peacefully and people with all sorts of divergent ideas and impulses to be brought into a system of values-based order. This insight that our legal system brings people in was driven home to me during my own first summer of law school when I went to work helping migrant farm workers in the Texas Panhandle. One of our clients that summer was a union organizer who I will call George. The time was the early 1980s, and George called himself a Marxist, who in our conversations espoused armed revolution against the capitalist state. He used to tell me that the legal rights I, as an American law student, represented to him were mere bourgeois rights and were of no value to someone who didn't have enough to eat. Yet when the local sheriff acted to illegally restrict his farm workers' right to strike, we brought a case in federal court. I still remember George peacefully testifying with great conviction about the violation of his workers' fundamental constitutional right of free assembly. Whatever abstract ideas George might have had about violence and social justice, like his fellow 230 million American citizens at the time, George was drawn into a system of legal solidarity. The truth is that if viable legal institutions for resolving social conflict exist, most people will choose those over violence and destruction. So we threaten those institutions at our peril. Those who take for granted the social import of societies painstakingly built upon values-based law should look hard at those corners of the earth where law does not prevail, where lawless economies crumble, disputes are resolved through brute force, and people's lives are subject to the mercy of warlords. We shouldn't assume that such social breakdown could not happen in our society. By definition, our system of law can only endure into the future if people accept it and opt to participate in it. First and foremost, that means you, all of you, who as our next generation of lawyers will go to work every day making mere legal words on paper become live social reality. You will be the bedrock of the legal system. But for that system to be secure, the far greater number of non-lawyers must believe the system serves them. And clearly today, many people feel left out. Our profession's greatest challenge then, presented by this historical moment, is to find ways to communicate to our fellow citizens the crucial importance of rule of law. As emissaries from the legal system, you will now share the burden of answering that challenge. Please take it seriously, and because actions speak louder than words, from the vantage point of today's original position, pledge to yourself that you will never allow yourself to participate in activities that will harm the rule of law foundation of our society, and that you will speak out against those who do. And so I say to you, our newest generation of lawyers, it is now your turn. I ask you to think about the amazing convergence of factors that has given you the opportunity to shape and mold the 2,500-year legal tradition that you are heir to. And as you take your place at the bar, I also ask you to think about how when you one day too pass the torch, you can leave that tradition stronger and more vibrant than you found it today. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean Strauss. Our next speaker is the president of the Ohio State Bar Association, Summit County Juvenile Judge Linda Theodosio.
May it please the court, Chief Justice O'Connor, Justices of the Supreme Court, honored guests, and most importantly, our applicants. I am Judge Linda Tucci Teodosio, and on behalf of the Ohio State Bar Association and your soon-to-be colleagues, let me begin by saying, wow, what a year to be sworn in as a member of the Ohio Bar. Without even meeting you, I already know that you have exactly what you need to be a successful attorney. I don't just mean knowledge of the law, the ability to think like a lawyer, or world-class research skills, although those are certainly important. No, in order for you to be participating in today's ceremony, you have demonstrated tremendous resilience. Resilience allowed you to clear law school, to survive the gauntlet that is the bar exam, to make it across the finish line in spite of a global pandemic, economic recession, significant political unrest, and even toilet paper shortages. A good lawyer must have resilience in order to tolerate the significant changes, stress, and uncertainty that can come with the job, as well as the inevitable setbacks. The reality of our adversarial system is that two lawyers walk into court, and usually only one can come out the victor. The important thing when it happens, and it will, is that you do not get discouraged, but emerge stronger, wiser, and without regret because you have done your best. Always do your best work is one of my 10 commandments for new lawyers, and amongst the most important lessons that I have learned after practicing law for 38 years. I hope this advice will help you to love your job and your chosen profession as much as I love mine. In the interest of time, and because I would not want to contribute to Zoom fatigue on your big day, I'm going to give you the abridged version, my top 5 of my 10 commandments. These focus less on your responsibilities as a lawyer and more on finding that elusive balance, which is also essential to be a good and fulfilled attorney. If you would like my full list, or if you would like to connect with other attorneys at every stage in their careers who also love their jobs and do them well, I highly encourage you to join the Ohio State Bar Association. Your membership is complimentary for your first full year in practice, and you can join by a text using the number provided on the screen. I can tell you that joining the state and your local bar, in my case, the Akron Bar Association, has afforded me countless experiences and leadership opportunities that have seasoned and enhanced my career in so many ways. It has also given me a professional network of support I can call upon when I need it, and also lifelong friends. My commandment number 4 plays right into that, to remember where you came from. While I have had the great privilege to serve as a judge, I always remember my roots and who brought me here. My grandmother had a 3rd grade education when she got on a ship to cross the ocean from Napoli, Italia. She traveled with her young daughter to Boston after my grandfather had secured a job and a home in Canton, Ohio for his young family. She, like many of your ancestors, came to this country with the hopes of providing their children and grandchildren with a better life. I stand on their shoulders in all that I do. That also goes for your family, friends, and loved ones who have supported you in your pursuit of a law degree and license, and who I trust are watching today with great pride. Commandment number 3 is to make time for them. They are the most important thing in your life. Commandment number 2 is to exercise self-care. When you fly, the flight attendants always remind you to put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others in the event of an emergency. This is because you cannot help others if you have not taken care of yourself. People are going to bring you their most serious problems, and you are going to deal with the stress of solving them. Good habits such as exercise, eating well, and doing all things in moderation will keep you healthy and better able to care for your clients. I personally love to run. Being on the trails with friends or alone with my thoughts keep me centered. I know other lawyers that do yoga, paint, play music, engage in Bible study as a means of maintaining wellness. Find what it is that centers you and don't shortchange yourself. Make the time. Commandment 1 on my list is the most important, and it's best illustrated through a story by an unknown author. A philosophy professor stood before his class with some items on the table in front of him. When the class began, he wordlessly picked up a very large and empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to put it on the table and fill it with rocks, about 2 inches in diameter. After he put in as many of the rocks as he could, he asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar, and he shook the jar lightly until the pebbles rolled in between the open areas between the rocks. He asked the students again if the jar was full. This time they agreed a little less certain. The professor then picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course, the sand filled up the remaining open areas of the jar until it was completely full. He asked once again if the jar was full, and the students responded with a unanimous yes. Now, said the professor, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The rocks are the important things: your family, your partner, your health, your children, your career, things that if everything else was lost and only they remained, your life would still be fertile. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like your house, your car, and the sand is everything else. It's the small stuff. If you put the sand into the jar first, there is no room for the rocks and the pebbles. The same goes for your life. If you spend all of your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are important to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Play with your children. Take your partner out dancing. There will always be time to go to work, clean the house, give a dinner party, or fix the disposal. Take care of your rocks first, the things that really matters. Set your priorities. The rest is just sand. So my first and most important commandment is to set your priorities and let them guide you as you move forward. You have proven that you have the resilience and requisite skills to become a lawyer. You will be a fulfilled and successful lawyer if you remain committed to always doing your best, to never forget where you came from, to make time for your family and loved ones, to exercise self-care and know your priorities and let them guide you. I am so grateful for the privilege of addressing you on this important occasion. I congratulate you on your success and wish you all the best in this wonderful profession into which I welcome you today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Theodosio. It's now my honor to introduce Judge Mark Wiest of the Common Pleas Court in Wayne County. Judge Wiest is the chair of the Board of Bar Examiners. This will be the beginning of our virtual swearing in. Judge Wiest, you have a motion.
I do, and thank you, Chief Justice O'Connor, and greetings from Wayne County. I will be making the motion here in my courtroom at the Wayne County Courthouse in Worcester, and it is certainly an honor and privilege to do so once again. I would say that I've made it on a number of occasions, and it has yet to not be granted. So, as they say, no worries. May it please the court, the successful applicants from the October 2020 Ohio Bar Examination are here before the court. They have met all the requirements to take the oath and be admitted to practice. It is my privilege to move the court to admit these applicants to the practice of law in the state of Ohio.
We have a motion before the court. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now I have the distinct honor of administering the oath. I would like for all of the applicants to stand and to raise your right hands. Applicants, once I administer the oath, in order to swear yes, you are to click on the Swear Affirm button on the polling feature that you'll have in front of you. You'll have 30 seconds to affirm once we're completed. Excuse me, I'm looking for the oath that was put in my... State your name. Hereby swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of Ohio. And I will abide by the Ohio rules of professional conduct. In my capacity as an attorney and officer of the court, I will conduct myself with dignity and civility and show respect towards judges, court staff, clients, fellow professionals, and all other persons. I will honestly, faithfully, and competently discharge the duties of an attorney at law. So help me God. Congratulations, attorneys. If we were all together, we would be in the Ohio Theater, and at this point, there would be thunderous clapping and shouting and just expressions of joy. I hope that that's happening with you wherever you are right now. Now, to speak on behalf of the Justices of the Supreme Court, it is my pleasure to welcome Justice Melody Stewart.
Good morning, everyone. To the family and friends of the newest member of our bar, and to you, my fellow attorneys at law, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to address you today on behalf of myself and on behalf of my colleagues. In thinking about what to say to you for this admission ceremony, one of the first things that crossed my mind is try not to use the words unprecedented times or virtual anything or social distancing, etc. All words and phrases that have come to define this year for us. In fact, someone recently sent me an email of graphics and pictures with 2020 humor. Some of you may have seen them. In particular, one was a picture of the characters from the 1985 movie Back to the Future, with scientist Emmett Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, emphatically warning the movie's protagonist, Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, to never, ever set the flux capacitor to in the DeLorean time machine to the year 2020. Another graphic opined that one day, 2020 will be the one-word catchphrase for everything messed up and bad. Hey, how was your day? A total 2020. Say no more. But of course, the truth is there are good things that happen in 2020, and today we celebrate one of them. And I think I hear applause. So once I decided what not to say to you for this address, I went through the video archives to view some of the bar ceremonies of the past and the addresses given by justices of the court. Now, I suspect that the overwhelming majority of you, if any, have not viewed any of those archived videos. And for those of you who have attended one or more bar ceremonies for friends, relatives, or colleagues, I'd venture to say that you probably do not recall what was said. In 2007, then Justice Robert Cupp referred to lawyering as one of the world's foremost professions. He reminded the newly minted attorneys of their ethical conduct expected of them as officers of the court, and stressed the importance of equal justice under the law, regardless of wealth or lack thereof, of political connections or the lack thereof, one's standing in the community, your gender, the color of one's skin, or anyone's religion. In 2011, then Justice Yvette McGee Brown told your predecessors that our profession is one that at its best truly makes a difference for real people. She spoke about the privilege of being a lawyer, that there are no shortcuts to success, and she encouraged the group to be professional always and to keep their eye on their moral compass. More recently, my colleagues, Justices Kennedy, French, and Donnelly, spoke respectively about the unique roles lawyers have historically held in our society and about the importance of pro bono service and the challenge for new lawyers to increase that service, and how now, more than ever, new lawyers will be immediately called upon to help navigate through this challenging time and to leave our profession better than how they found it. Any or all of these sentiments would be appropriate to talk about today. They are as relevant now as they were when initially spoken. But I wanted to try to say something that stood a greater chance of resonating with you in this interesting time that you find yourselves entering the legal profession. I wondered if there was anything in particular you, or a significant number of you, would want to hear as opposed to just something I think would be good to say. It just so happens that one of my law clerks is in this bar admissions cohort. So having immediate access to one of you, I asked him those questions. I told him that I would be delivering the bar admissions keynote address and was wondering what he thought I should talk about, what he thought you'd like to hear from a justice on the court. He replied, "Wow, let me give that some thought. I'll get back to you." So feeling good that I had made the inquiry and excited about preparing this address with some insight from one entering the profession with you at such a time as this, I got an email from him a few days later that essentially said, "Yeah, I got nothing." Now, I'm not exactly sure what that meant. Did it mean that because this is his first bar ceremony, he was unable to think of what I should say? Or did it mean that there really is nothing I can say that would be of interest? I'm hoping it was the former. So I settled on the following message broken down into 3 broad categories. Practice with integrity, put people, all people first, and protect your law license. When I say practice with integrity, I mean practice in the sense of however you use your knowledge of the law and your legal skills. Some of you will be litigators, some transactional attorneys, others administrators, teachers, or working for neutral bodies like the courts or other agencies. But all of you should have high standards for your work. Pay close attention to each task before you and master it as much as possible. Concentrate on establishing a firm foundation in whatever practice or work you choose and in building a solid reputation as a good lawyer. Don't project too far ahead to think about what you might want to do in the future. You'll give it some thought, of course, but keep in mind that today you don't even know all of the opportunities that will be available to you later on. Some of those opportunities don't even exist yet. So the only thing you can control right now is your preparedness. Some of you will eventually have jobs or positions with high-profile titles like general counsel or law director, partner in charge, CEO, judge, justice, maybe even chief justice. Others will have positions and do work that maybe don't have titles that are not as lofty. Regardless of your title, please know that your work will be no more or less important than the work of others. I've found that nothing of significance gets done by individual effort, regardless of titles. For those of you who will serve our communities as criminal prosecutors, seek just results, not just victories. Sometimes the two are one and the same, but not always. Don't stand idly by and watch injustice happening, and by all means, don't participate in the same. When I think about putting people first, I think the basics of that first means to respect all people all the time, regardless of who they are. Only when you do so should you be able to expect respect in return. Be careful of the need to be right. That need can separate you from the views of others or lead you to having a closed mind to those who see things differently. Appreciate the fact that you, your work, your access, and all that you've learned can benefit others, and not just your clients or your circle of family and friends. And last, protect your law license. You worked hard for it. Think twice, then think again about anything you might do to jeopardize your license, and don't let anyone else compromise it. If you find yourself encountering hardships of any kind in your personal life or your professional life, seek assistance from family, friends, colleagues, appropriate professionals, or contact us here at the Supreme Court. When working under the supervision of others, ask and explore questions. Doing so usually yields more insight and wisdom about what you can and cannot do, or what you should or should not do. Remember, longtime practitioners are not always right, and new lawyers, like yourselves, won't always be wrong. Your license is your responsibility. I'm often reminded of a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. To paraphrase it, In a moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. In closing, I'd like to recommend to you the book, Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, if you haven't already read it. You will do a lot of talking, communicating in general with people who will be strangers to you. Clients, opposing counsel, parties, witnesses, court staff, and elected officials, to name a few. I think the insights of the book will give you a leg up in your work as a lawyer, regardless of your particular position. I thank you for your time and your attention. Stay healthy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Congratulations and felicitations to you all, and welcome to the Bar of Ohio.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice Stewart. And congratulations again to all our new attorneys. While we would have enjoyed handing out your certificates personally to each and every one of you, we will rely on the mail to get them to you with the best wishes of the court. Earlier, I mentioned our mentoring program. The information will be included in your certificate. You do have one more step to complete. You must register as an attorney with the Office of Attorney Services at the Supreme Court of Ohio. You will soon receive an email from the Office of Attorney Services with instructions about how to complete your registration. Through this process, you will receive your attorney registration number, and that's the number that you will use on all court documents for the rest of your career. So, once again, on behalf of the Supreme Court, I congratulate you on your achievement. Thank you for taking part in this virtual bar admission ceremony. And thank you to all the friends and relatives who took part in this special day. This concludes our ceremony today. So thank you, be safe, and God bless you all. Marshal, will you adjourn court?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This open session of the Honorable Supreme Court of Ohio now stands adjourned.